What is going on, everybody? I'm Caleb Ocho, also known as NFL Caleb 22, and this is Betting the NFL Wildcard Weekend. And as always, I'm gonna go through my 5 best bets of the weekend to make you guys some money. That's because that's what we do. That is the goal of the show, and that's the goal, just my personal goal, just to make a lot of money on betting on some football. But we won't recap what happened in last week because it really doesn't matter because we're going to bet on the playoffs this week, and it doesn't really have the whole go with the NFL doesn't really have too much to do with what goes on in the playoffs. The playoffs is a different way of betting, um, fewer opportunities to make money, but you still got 6 games to bet on this weekend. But we will recap what happened in the regular season. We'll say what's up to Rodney. Thanks for tuning in, man. We'll go. We'll recap what happened in the regular season. Home team straight up 53% winning percentage against the spread. They were terrible, 49.4%. We talked about it all season long. How home field advantage really didn't affect what happened against the spread. They lost more than they won. That's a big change, bigger than I've ever seen throughout a whole entire season of the road teams getting the edge there against the spread. Favorites straight up 71.7% against the spread. They weren't too good. They were just a little bit better than the underdogs. They hit at a 54.3% rate. But a big number was a big winner this season was the road favorites, 56.3%. I feel like that is one that could continue into the playoffs. But we'll have to see on that one. Over and unders, 145 overs. They were hitting at a 54.1% and 123 unders. So we saw a lot more overs than I think we saw last year. I think last year was a big under season, down a lot of points scored. I think it ticked up just a little bit this season, but that was those numbers. But my best, well, going back to the off season, the future plays that we made, at least the ones I made. I had my best one was the Commanders hitting that over. I really felt good about that bet. I thought the Commanders would be a good wild card team as they are. I thought they would finish second. I mean, I thought the Cowboys would finish first, but obviously that didn't happen. But I feel really good about my bet to hit the over on the Commanders win total, as well as them making the playoffs, because I really thought that was going to happen. I thought Dan Quinn would make a big impact on that Washington team, and he certainly did. And of course, the quarterback had a lot to do with that. Jay Daniels had a great rookie season, played really well, and turned that team around. Another bet I really felt good about was hitting the under on the 49ers. Obviously, the health of their players had a lot to do with that. I thought they were taking a step back after losing the Super Bowl. A lot of the Super Bowl losers, have the Super Bowl hangover effect on them. And I thought that was going to be the case with the 49ers. And that's why I had the under on the win total, and that hit in a big way. So proud of that one. Worst bets, obviously, the Cowboys over. Thought the Cowboys would be better. Obviously, again, health affected what happened with their win totals. We weren't playing well even in the beginning of the season, but as soon as we started to get going, we just didn't have enough players healthy for us to win much more games after that. But then another one was I had the Dolphins over. Again, health of their quarterback played a role into that, and I thought they would hit the over on their win total, and they did not. They significantly, well, maybe not significantly, but they did hit the under on that one. I thought there was more expectations for the Dolphins this season to at least make the playoffs. I did bet them. I said they were, and they obviously did not. So those were some of my good bets and bad bets. What's going on, Hendo? Thanks for tuning in, man. Before we get into my 5 best bets of the weekend, if you guys can hit that like button, Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And if you really want to help us out, you can join Ko-Fi or Coffee, whatever you want to say. Join whatever tier suits you. We'd very much appreciate it. I just appreciate you guys for watching, as I do every single time you tune in. But now we will get into my bets of the week. I'm going to start off with the Chargers Texans game. Obviously, Chargers are on the road against the Houston Texans. Chargers are laying 2.5 against the Texans. I like the Chargers, laying the points here. Texans haven't looked good all season. Well, they haven't looked great. Injuries, obviously have played effect in that, especially to the receiving core. DJ Stroud hasn't obviously looked as good as he did in his rookie year. They might not have made the playoffs even if they weren't such a terrible division. Justin Herbert, I think he's gained steam over the time throughout the year. Obviously, in the beginning of the year, they were a heavy run offense, but I think Jim Harbaugh kind of let him go a little bit in recent weeks. And I just think the Texans have had too much to overcome this season, and I think that's going to weigh on them going into this game. I think Harbaugh had a quick, immediate impact on this team, this Chargers team, and has built kind of that over the season. And I think it will continue throughout this game here. That's why I like the Chargers to cover this. To cover this spread. And Chargers number one in scoring defense. So I think it's gonna be tough against for that Texans offense to really put points on the board. Before playing the Titans, the Texans had 3 straight weeks where they were scoring 20 points or less. So I think that's going to really affect them in this game. Don't think they're going to score too many points against the Chargers defense, and that's why I like the Chargers to cover. Houston 7-8-2 against the spread on the season, not great, especially at home. They are 3-4-1 against the spread at home, so not a good record. Chargers 12-4-1 against the spread on the season, 7-2 on the road against the spread, 5-1 in the last 6 games. So I think all the numbers point to the Chargers covering a 2.5-point spread on the road. And we just already talked about the 56.3% win rate that the road favorites were winning at this season. So that's why this is a road favorite, like them to cover. All right. What we got next? We got the Steelers at the Ravens. Ravens are minus 9.5, 10 at most books, but I have seen them at 9.5, so I'm going to take the easier number to cover. I think I think this one is pretty simple, honestly. After the Steelers have lost 4 straight games, one of them being to the Ravens, in which they got their ass kicked, and they haven't really looked all that great outside the Bengals game, I guess. There has been questions about the quarterback situation. Obviously, whether they want to play Fields more or not, because Russell Wilson just hasn't played great. On the opposite side, you have the Ravens on a 4-game winning streak themselves. Lamar Jackson is, obviously playing great. MVP candidate, looks absolutely locked in going into this playoff run. Ravens will get. I think they'll get their pass rush after Wilson. The Steelers have had problems scoring points. Obviously, all through the season, they've really struggled. Mostly, obviously, due to the quarterback play. And I think that'll help the Ravens cover a very large 9.5-point spread. That is pretty big for a divisional game. But they did cover a big spread like that in their last matchup. So I expect them to cover it again in this game. Baltimore 5-1 against the spread last 6 games. So I like them to cover that 9.5. All right. We got game number 3. Broncos at the Bills. Bills minus 9. And I'm going to lay the points with the Bills. Yeah. The Broncos coming into this game, the Bills are coming into this game undefeated at home this season. So I don't think they will have much problems getting this win. But it's more of a question: will they cover the 9 points? I think they will. I think they usually decimate their opponent in the wild card games. That's how and then they get to divisional championship, whatever, and they usually mess up there. But usually the wild card games are really really good. Broncos on the side are just 4-5 on the road this season. Bills have an average margin of victory, 17 points at home. I don't think the Broncos will be able to really slow down Josh Allen's passing attack. I mean, they have just their 25th ranked passing defense, so you can definitely throw on them. I think Josh Allen will go off on them. They are starting, obviously, Bo Nix in his rookie year, playing his first playoff game. It's going to be probably a big struggle against the Bills. I think they pretty much blow them out, no problem covering that 9 points. All right, for our next game, we got the Packers at the Eagles. Packers are getting 4.5, and I've been wrong on the Eagles all year long. I mean, I don't mind if you pay me on this one. I picked against them. The one time I bet on the Eagles, they lost. So I'm just gonna go on with the ship, and I'm gonna pick against them once again. I don't think the Packers win, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Packers are good enough deep rush defense to contain Saquon Barkley. Jordan Love can get downfield and keep pace with the Eagles offense, especially with Jalen Hurts, who really doesn't pass the ball that great. We still know the exact health of Jalen Hurts, obviously with his concussions, but I think he probably will play. But we haven't seen him in weeks and be a little rusty coming into this game. So I don't think he'll get off to a really hot start. I think he might struggle at the beginning, might get it going after, obviously they're going to go heavy run, and then maybe he'll let it go later on in the game when he needs to. I think ultimately they're probably going to win, but I think it's more of a field goal game. If Eagles win by 3 points, which that means just enough for the Packers to cover a 4.5 point spread on the road. So I like the Packers to cover. Okay. For our last bet of the week, we got the Commanders at the Buccaneers. Commanders are getting 3 points despite losing their first matchup in week 1, as it was Daniels' first game in the league. They have had only 4 losses this season. They're all one possession games, mostly all through playoff games, except for, of course, my Cowboys beating them. We have seen the obviously Baker's ability to score a lot of points, a lot of touchdowns and whatnot. But a lot of it has depended on Bucky ever getting going, the rush game doing well for them, and then he can really get it to Mike Evans and whatnot. But if the receivers come through for Jane Daniels, he can really light up in this game. Buccaneers do not have a good pass defense, and I learned that. I knew that before going against when the Cowboys played them. Even Cooper Rush was able to get it downfield against them. So I don't think Jane Daniels will. If Cooper Rush can do it, I think Jane Daniels can definitely tear up this bad Buccaneers pass defense. And I think the difference in the game will be Dan Quinn's defense getting his passions going against Baker, which might stifle him a bit. And we have seen, like I said, the trend just keeps going. Road teams better than the home teams this season. So I'm going to take majority road teams and going into the wild card weekend. And I think that will pay off for me, and I think it will pay off for y'all. Those are my 5 best bets. I stayed away from the Rams Vikings game because I think that one is just it's a 1 point it's a 1 point spread. That's basically a toss up. Almost a pick 'em there. That one can go either way. I didn't really have a good feel for him, especially the way the Vikings played last week, especially the way Sam Darnold specifically played. He wasn't good. So I don't know. And that was like a playoff type game going into the playoffs. I don't know how well he's going to play going against the Rams. So it's really hard to say. The Rams, done it before. gone to the Super Bowl. They won it, but they're obviously not as talented as the Vikings team as a whole. And so it's just hard. It's just hard to say who's going to win that one, and I'm just not willing to put my money either way. And but if y'all feel more confident either way, you can put your money wherever you like. But that is the show. Safe betting out there. Only bet what you can afford to lose. And as always, let's get ready to make that money.